So I've done a lot of crazy things in my life, but nothing could have prepared me for this, learning Polish. So for 7 days, I'm going to challenge myself to see how much Polish I can learn. Is it possible? Will I be able to have a conversation by the end? Let's find out. Big thanks to Rosetta Stone for sponsoring this video. Okay, so today is day 1 of me trying to learn Polish. I've been really practicing on the alphabet. I'm gonna start on the Rosetta Stone app. There's 3 core lessons today, 10 minutes each. And then in my own time, I'm gonna be doing a lot of vocab study. I've learned a lot of skills in my life. Whether it's learning piano, multiple instruments, you can't cram a bunch of learning into one day. It's a lot better to study 30 minutes every day for a week rather than trying to study 5 hours, 2 days in a row. Because your brain can only take so much and you have to sleep in order for the new skills to be kind of imprinted in your mind. You have to commit to at least 3 to 6 months to see any form of progress. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Chłopiec.
Dziewczynka.
Dziewczynka. Dziewczynka. Chłopiec je. So je means to eat, I imagine. Chłopiec, I imagine, means boy. Je is eat. Pije is to drink. This is how many language learning programs start. The main issue is that a lot of the vocab that they teach in the beginning doesn't really apply to everyday life. It's not like I'm gonna be out here saying, man eats, man goes. However, I think this is a good foundation so you can have some basic form of vocabulary. Mężczyzna helps me with that sound. I think this lesson was really good for pronunciation. However, not long into my first lesson, I encountered my first problem. So when I was learning Spanish, I was able to do vocab maybe 20 words a day, but that's because a lot of the words were very similar to English. These are so difficult because I'm learning the alphabet and I have no Slavic language roots. Day 2 wasn't too crazy compared to the first day, so I followed the lessons and they were mainly refreshers of everything that we learned in previous lessons. They also included on, ona, and oni, which are third-person pronouns in Polish. I was able to make basic sentences with that. We touched a little bit into basic conjugation as well. Something that I like about Rosetta Stone, they don't directly tell you what everything means, so you kind of have to figure it out for yourself, and I actually think this is quite an effective method. All right, guys, so today is day 3 of me trying to learn Polish. I'm really trying to focus on pronouncing everything correctly. I'm learning all of these words, but if I say it incorrectly, I sound very amateurish. Jesteśmy kobietami I mężczyznami. Mężczyznami. Yeah. So I've been doing 2 things. I put in effort into making flashcards that have common phrases, but also vocabulary. I'll have some phrases like jaki masz numer telefonu, what is your phone number, may come in handy in the future. Biegnie, which means to run. Czyta, which means to read. Piśna, which means to write. Gotuje, which means to cook. The issue is that I can't recall them from memory. I have to read them and see them. Maybe if I hear them, I can recognize them, but that is gonna take hours and hours of listening. I have noticed the difference between the conjugations between singular and plural. What's confusing to me is that some of the plurals end with I, some of them end with Y. So I'm thinking about hiring a teacher to teach me the basics, but I'm trying to do as much of it as I can self-study, and there's a lot of really good video content on YouTube that's helping.
So you know how you kind of get that false confidence when you start learning a language? You're like, I'm gonna go out there and talk to people, but then all of a sudden you get like super nervous about it. I think at a certain point you just gotta suck it up and just do it. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Polish people in general just don't really care if you say it right as long as you're putting the effort anyways.
So on day 4, I spent my time learning Polish grammar basics. I made a video about it on my channel if you guys want to watch it. I was trying to use my basic knowledge from Spanish and apply it to learning Polish. But what I found out is that Polish doesn't only have a masculine and a feminine noun, they also have neutral nouns. All of them have their own versions of conjugations and they all change based on the case and if they're plural or not. So I think it's important to learn about grammar as early as possible. I would have probably put this on day 2 or 3 instead of 4 because I think it's important to have some form of vocabulary so you can kind of practice the grammar in your head, because if you go straight into grammar but have no vocabulary base, I think it can be quite confusing. So today is officially the 5th day of me trying to learn Polish. Vocabulary actually is not as hard as I thought it would be. I think the more that I learn, the more confusing it's gonna get because it's a completely different way of speaking. The way that the letters are all put together, it's like I have to rewire my brain. It's not as complex as Chinese, thankfully, but Chinese has a lot easier of a grammar structure compared to Polish. And
I think it's much more harder than Chinese. Chinese has such a easy, simple sentences, such a easy grammar, and here so many additional words you have to say.
The hardest part about Chinese is learning how to say it.
and you have to learn each individual like character or word, right?
For me, characters are the most difficult.
So a couple of other things I've struggled with too is trying to find the schedule to learn. Because everybody here speaks English, you kind of get lazy because it's not like a strong necessity. Some cool things I've also noticed though is that now that I'm really stretching my language brain, I feel like my learning muscle is just being stretched in all other things as well. So I'm a classically trained pianist, but for some reason me learning Polish triggers the same part of my brain as me wanting to play music and play piano. I think it's the similar muscles and similar parts of your brain are being used. So I've noticed that as I learn more language, I also want to improve my music skills. But I think there's something to be said about classical music and why they say that if kids listen to classical music, then they become smarter. Rosetta Stone is an immersive language learning app that uses pictures, audios, and even native pronunciation features to help you confidently speak and retain a new language as if it was your first language.
Chłopiec biegnie.
Chłopiec biegnie. Rosetta Stone has a powerful reputation in the industry because they use a technique called dynamic immersion, which is the most intuitive way to learn a language. They teach you the word through different pictures and different scenarios, and it's crazy because after a couple of days, I find myself making the associations in my mind to what the word means without them directly telling me what the definition is. And this is exactly how a kid learns, right? They just listen to other people talk and imitate. This is exactly how I learned Spanish, and it's been highly effective for me. From beginner basics to more advanced grammar, Rosetta Stone offers flexibility, allowing you to learn at your own schedule. If you guys are interested in checking out Rosetta Stone for yourselves, I'll leave a link in the description and pinned comment to get 60% off a lifetime subscription and get access to all 25 languages. When I'm learning all of these things, I'm not trying to say it as fast as possible, but I'm trying to say it correctly. If you form really good habits from the beginning, you don't have to correct them down the line. I wanted to make sure I was doing all the conjugations correctly, saying everything correctly, because it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're making basic mistakes, you're still going to sound like an amateur. Okay, so today is day 6. Once you understand how the alphabet works and you start recognizing the letters, it's actually quite easy to read a lot of the words. The only issue is that because there are a bunch of accent marks and then the different vowels, so you kind of have to train your mind to read things differently. But I think that the rhythm that Polish is also spoken in is also quite consistent. So it's not like English where there's a bunch of exceptions for a bunch of different rules. Polish seems to be a language that is very front heavy, very similar to Spanish, all about trying to learn the rules and the grammar first. And once you get all of that down, then it's just about pumping out vocabulary and getting a lot of speaking practice. Okay, so today is day 7, and I have to say that I have learned a lot over the last few days. Yesterday, my lesson was about colors and sizes, and I've been able to remember a good amount of that. I went to the Żabka and I tried ordering my coffee in Polish, and it was a little nerve-wracking at first, but I was able to do it. The lady working there just responded to me in English though. She saw that I was struggling, so that's also going to be one of the hard parts, trying to find people to practice with who don't speak English. If I'm speaking Polish, people are normally going to want to practice their English with me. Now I can read almost all of the words, even though it may not be 100% pronounced correctly. It's crazy because words that used to look so difficult and foreign to me before now are actually not that hard to read. The toughest part is definitely the grammar, and I think I'm gonna have to focus on that a lot more over the next few months. Off the top of my head, now I can count to 10. Jeden. Okay, so I know this is one of my main issues. I always pronounce the J as a J instead of a Y. So it should be pronounced jeden if I'm correct. But I'm still trying to figure that out in my head because by habit, the J and E, when I see that, I automatically assume Spanish, and that's why I use the J sound. I know you guys are gonna come for me in the comments, but yeah, I'm working on it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I asked the help of one of my subscribers, Ola, to help me with the conversation. If you guys are interested, she has a TikTok talking about Asian cultures in Polish. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry.
Skąd jesteś?
Jestem z Polski, a ty?
Jestem z Ameryki, ale jestem też Chińczykiem.
Fajnie. Gdzie mieszkasz?
Mieszkam w Krakowie.
Fajnie. A pracujesz?
Tak, jestem youtuberem.
To ciekawe. Czy możemy obejrzeć twoje filmy?
Okej, żwą mi to. Czy mogę zdradzić ci sekret?
Okej, powiedz mi.
Uważam, że Jesteś bardzo piękna.
Dziękuję.
Jaki masz numer telefonu?
143 667 155.
5. 1, 4, 3, 6, 6, 7, 1, 5, 5. Because I know you guys are going to ask, the whole entire conversation was actually based on a script, but it was done by memory. I didn't have any notes, anything to cheat. It was completely organic. I'm kind of understanding the basics of how to conjugate the words too. I know there's different cases in Polish, so that's gonna be like another few weeks of learning. I had a lot of work this month, so it was really difficult to find the time to study Polish, but I tried to make time for it every single day, even if it's at least 15 minutes or doing one part of the Rosetta Stone lesson. That's how a lot of the words have been able to stick in my mind. Because I remember when I was trying to learn przepraszam, that took me like a week to learn because I wasn't putting a lot of effort. Some people say that I have a natural talent for learning languages. Maybe that's true, or maybe it's just the fact that I have a very strong musical ear that allows me to do it. But I think learning any language really just takes a few ingredients: effort and discipline to practice every single day for an extended period of time. But I'm super committed to learning Polish now, so it's very exciting to see where my language journey takes me. I'm gonna make a new video about this, maybe after 30 days and maybe after 2 months and 3 months, so I can show you guys my progress. Please consider subscribing so you guys will get notified for my future videos. Thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.